Welcome back to the podcast, and happy International Wahmen's Day. International Wahmen. Wasn't this started by Rosa Luxemburg? Isn't International Women's Day technically a communist holiday? Let's look this up. Let's find out. International Women's Day. March 8th. A global holiday. Okay, who founded it? Who founded it? Slow beginning to this episode. Am I wrong? I might be. I should just put Rosa Luxemburg in it. It's time to get back to the radical roots of International Women's Day. We celebrate International Women's Day started off as a radical socialist movement, but is now an international day of celebration. How far we've fallen. Originates with the German socialists Louise Zietz and Clara Zetkin, who was Rosa Luxemburg's friend. So kind of. It's a Zetkin thing. Okay, cool. Now that that's out of the way, that strange impromptu 2-minute detour in the intro, we will begin. It seems like a lot of things have been happening. Like, it just seems like there's a lot to cover. Like, we have, like, there's just been, well, actually, what it seems like is a bunch of stupid, pointless, meaningless, symbolic imagery has happened. And there's a lot of that to talk about. But not a lot of, like, big events or, like, meaty, analyzable topics or anything. It's just, like, we live in a plastic world full of fucking consumer products and so on. Like, it's you know. But I watched last week's episode back, the Zoomer Nation Hegel debate back, or discussion, or somewhere in between, and I kind of came to the conclusion that it didn't really seem like it didn't really seem like she caught on to the fact that I was like, it didn't seem like she knew that I was going to be being oppositional beforehand. It seems like she went into it not understanding that I was going to argue with her position, not just, like, ask her questions. Like, it wasn't an interview, it was a discussion. But the vibe I got from watching it back made it seem like she didn't know that going in, which would be my fault. That would be my bad. I guess I don't know, because I assumed that I made that clear in our, like, DMs before the show. I assumed that I, like, made it obvious that it was going to be like a tell me your perspective so that I can argue with it kind of discussion. But again, watching it back, it didn't seem like she understood that. So it's kind of like, I don't know, I feel kind of awkward about that. I do feel kind of awkward about that. Especially since it was like, because she said certain things. Like, she said, like, I'm not the best person to have the conversation with because she doesn't know Deleuze. But it's like, okay, I don't know Hegel. You're telling me about Hegel. and your idealism about objective morals or whatever. So, like, I'm still having the discussion. Like, you don't have to know about a topic to have the discussion on camera. I don't know why people feel like they need to. I don't know. It's just, it seems like there's a lot of barriers. There's a lot of walls that I just enjoy being like the wrecking ball that just kind of demolishes them, inhabits the space between them. And then it seemed almost like we were like, I'm happy with how it went, in the sense that I'm happy that we didn't have a heated debate, for one thing, because that was like the one thing that I was sure that I was trying to avoid. And I'm glad that it was interesting, because it was an interesting conversation, and it did seem like, to me anyway, in my estimation, to my mind, it seemed like we were both getting out our ideas and the concepts and our beliefs that we believe in, like, to the full extent. It did seem like that to me, except maybe on my part, simply because, like, I was doing that thing of, like, having a reactive position, having like a response to someone else's statements, instead of like putting forth my own statements, having my statements be responses to theirs, which is like, that's responding to things like that is so much easier for me than like laying forth a like positive claim, you know? It's very negative rather than like I'm positing claims, what I like to do. Because I'm just not interested in, like, like I said during the podcast, I'm not interested in building my own like system that we can call objective to evaluate ethics. Like, it's just not. I'm interested in tearing down and exposing the systems that are structurally enforced, more than I am in like building my own ideal system of ethics that we can then call objective and instantiate into the world or whatever. But no shade for those who are, I guess. That's just not what I do. Like, there's so many parameters, like the free will debate itself, like free will versus determinism or whatever. There's so many parameters like that just don't fit into like the way I think philosophically about things. And I think there's a legitimate ground that sits on, right? Because it's like Slavoj Žižek explained on behalf of Foucault, who he credited with this observation. That specific debate, like the free will versus determinism debate, is very like, it only makes sense within a specific perspective and conception of reality itself. So I guess what I'm more interested in philosophically than like working within the parameters that we are given to think in is like developing my own theory about literally the nature of reality itself. Not building an ethical system, not like taking a position in a given established debate with the two different camps. More simply just like building my own conception and developing my own conception of reality. That's what philosophy does for me. And so I'm reading more of the Nietzsche book by Deleuze, which I have. Right here. I'm getting more into that because I just find I find myself wanting to figure that out more. And as I read through it, I find there's connections with Anti-Oedipus as well. Like there's just kernels within it that are developed more later in Deleuze's work. And the thing about Deleuze's Nietzsche interpretation is that he has these concepts of force and sense and the will that are like different from any other philosophical material that I've sort of like encountered before, where you have like these these direct statements in the book that he puts forward of like, this is what my interpretation of Nietzsche is. This is what I think we are saying here. And like one of them being like, we will not know the sense of a thing until we know the force that has appropriated the thing. And by thing, it's like the broadest, in the broadest sense of the word thing, like a person, a human being, a fucking object of any kind, you know, something in the natural world even. They're all things in this sense. And so what gives something its sense is the force which appropriates or dominates or exploits that thing. And he develops this more to go into the idea that like a force isn't actually just the force itself. The force is also the thing that it gives its sense to, that it gives sense to. And the way that he explains this, I've comprehended it to mean that like the struggle of forces itself, because the force is never singular. It's forces that are constantly sort of vying for influence over these things. And that struggle of the forces themselves creates the objects themselves out of reality. So it's like that process itself is a process of change. It's a process of creation. And that's the type of thing that like Deleuze's broader philosophy really does a good job of delving into, is like creation and change. He has a very good, like with his concept of desire, for example. And desire as productive, desiring production. But I don't want to make this like a hour-long Deleuze session. I just am touching upon that, I suppose. Going wherever the thought river takes me, as you can tell. But, and then like, I don't know. Do I want to talk more about this, or is this getting too like, I'm not live, so I don't have like a chat to give me immediate feedback on what I'm saying. But I'm sure, I hope when I do talk about those things and delve into those topics like that, you all sort of like can grasp what I'm talking about. Because I did get some feedback on the last podcast, the Zoomer Nation Hegel discussion, that it was like people felt that they needed more background information to really grasp what we were talking about like the the ideologies that we were talking about, but it seemed like Zoomer was doing a good job of explaining Hegel to me. Maybe I'm just smart and I just have like a affinity for theory and all of this stuff that we talk about, but like it seemed like she was doing an okay job of explaining the ideas to my ears. And I don't think anything I said was too, like, people use the word esoteric. Too esoteric. That's not actually what esoteric is, but people love to use the word esoteric when they mean it's like complex. Like what I enjoy talking about recently with people of like facing the world in its true complexity. That's what they mean when they say esoteric, is like actually facing the world in its true complexity. And like delving down to that level of like what undergirds the surface of our reality. What is actually going on under the surface of reality. And so people like to use the term esoteric to reference that. But the thing about that is like, that's the level I think on by default. I don't think on the surface by default. Maybe there was a point when I did think on the surface by default more, but now it's like I think on the deeper level automatically about everything. And I guess that just comes with practice. That just comes with like putting it into practice and like doing it a lot, I guess. I suppose. But what was one of those things that happened recently that I wanted to talk about on this episode? I really should have written them down. I had the thought to write them down, and then I didn't write them down. Probably gonna miss one now, huh? Probably gonna miss it. Let's just see. I fell on the ice like a week ago or two, and like you can't really see the. Now you can. The wound. That's like the worst of it. If you get like close in the right light, you can see all the like cuts. There's like, it made a bunch of little cuts in my hand, and then like this part of my hand is all sort of like swelling because of it. Like you see that? That's all swelling from the fall, the cuts of the fall. It was pretty fucking painful. I haven't like bled like that in a while. A good while. Which is probably a good thing overall. But yeah. Do we want to watch Jordan Peterson with his little... Jordan Peterson is back, by the way. JBP has returned. The infamous Jordan has come back to the internet. With a new book. Beyond Order. 12 More Rules. Beyond it. Imagine writing a book called Beyond Order. The combating chaos was not enough for him. He has to go beyond order. He needs more order. Super order. The super straights are at it again. That's the dumbest fucking shit I've ever heard. The super straights. This is the most snowflake shit that I've heard in my life. Fucking super straights. Oh my god. But yeah, Jordan Peterson has a new book coming. Or is it out already? I have no clue. And there's a... Hold on, I need to get my phone so I can show all of you this shit. Hold on a second. Oh my god. I tripped on the cord. But I didn't trip all the way. I didn't fall. It's a miracle, alright. Let me show you all this. We're scrolling. Alright, here we go. I need to make it so you can see this and hear it.
And now for something completely different. Immanuel Kant was a real pissant who was very rarely stable. Heidegger was a boozy beggar who could think you under the table. David Hume could outconsume Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel. And Wittgenstein was a beery swine who was just as schlossed as Schlegel. There's nothing Nietzsche couldn't teach you about the raisin of the wrist. Socrates himself was permanently pissed. John Stuart Mill, of his own free will, on half a pint of shandy was particularly ill. Plato, they say, could stick it away, half a crate of whiskey every day. Aristotle was a bugger for the bottle, and Hobbes was fond of his dram. And Rene Descartes was a drunken fart. I drink, therefore I am. Yes. Socrates himself is particularly missed. A lovely little thinker, but a bugger when he's pissed.
That's it. Not again.
And now...
Alright. Yeah. So there's that. Immanuel Kant was a real pissant. Oh my god. And that's like, a video like that, it does make me laugh at how like dumb and like lame it is. But it also, like, it reminds me of when Joe Biden's eye vessel popped. And like on live TV, on a debate, literally his eye pops and just starts bleeding, and everyone can like it's like that kind of a moment where it's like it's funny on the surface, but then like on a human level, it's like dark. It makes you feel bad because it's like, oh, this old geriatric fuck who literally can barely think anymore. Is like, not that he had any useful thoughts to begin with, is like literally his eye is bleeding on television. And then you have like Jordan Peterson, Mr. Benzodiazepine, who like has literally was in a coma because of his drug addiction, which he decided for some reason to go to Russia and quit cold turkey on. And so it just makes you feel bad because it's like, you know what this person's been through, so it's kind of just like on a human level, it's just like, yeah, this isn't incredibly hilarious when you look at it that way. You know? Like, I just have so much empathy like that. Like, I just feel bad. And I think that's like one core thing about like my moral beliefs, even, is the fact that like I feel it's like an empathy for the devil type thing. Like, it doesn't matter what you did. It honestly doesn't matter to me what somebody does. Any kind of punishment by some moral directing body, like the state, for example, isn't justified by their action. Like, there's no actual inherent connection between them. That's just ideology to justify the power imbalance. Like, that itself, like, there's so many things, so many more useful concepts that flow in and help to like replace the like morality and like free will or determinism and like all this stuff. like pop philosophy. There's so many more deep concepts that are more useful to think with, like power and like difference, for example, and desire. Like these are more useful terms to think in than morals and free will. You know what I mean? At least for me. But yeah, I was honestly thinking about, like, this is like channel spoilers. I was honestly thinking about like finally actually reading 12 Rules for Life, because back when I was like a Jordan Peterson fan girl, I was like, oh my god, I have to buy this book because I saw it in a bookstore. So I actually bought it, but I never actually read it all. So I was thinking about, like, what if I put myself through the torture of reading this and then wrote a critique of it, and then put myself through the torture of reading fucking Beyond Order and then writing a critique of that. What if I did that? I could do that. I might do that, is what I'm saying. But I'm not going to have like I don't have like an intellectual critique of it that I can give you on this episode of the podcast, simply because I haven't read it yet. And then I was also thinking about like doing some kind of debate watch with some people from the Discord, I'm hoping, or like some people. Like, I need more people even around me on the internet. Like, I just need more people like that. So I can do things like that. Like, I want to do something with even like the Foucault versus Chomsky debate. Like, just get like 4 other people and watch it. Just like I want to do with this. What I'm talking about, what I'm trying to mention right now, is the Zizek versus Jordan Peterson debate, which I would love to watch on the channel with people. But I'm recording this episode on my camera app itself on my old Windows laptop because Streamlabs didn't work today on there. So, yeah. I don't know why it just said, like, it's incompatible. It's incompatible. So, it might be my graphics card got too old, and, like, the age of the application itself sort of surpassed my graphics card. It's possible. But then I just need to find that other adapter to connect to my MacBook so that I can record again, possibly. Then test to see if this mic works on there again. That's what I really want to see. Because I do want to stream again. Like, I don't not stream anymore because I don't want to stream. I don't stream anymore because it's like I don't have the ability to. That's literally why. Because the other problem with this computer, with OBS Streamlabs, is that it doesn't record the screen. Like, for whatever reason, it just can't do that. So, problems all around. Problems all abound, in fact. Maybe there's a wireless Yeti mic I could get. Is there? Because then, like, I wouldn't have the problem of, like, oh, not enough power is getting to the mic. I wouldn't have that problem anymore if it was wireless. This is probably going to be, like, the worst. The quote-unquote objectively worst installments of this show. Just because I'm fucking... Because it's very, like, I don't have a big pre-decided purpose for the episode. It's literally just like a talk about shit that's happening and, like, meme and, like, reminisce about past debates and things like that. That's all we're doing this week, folks. But oh my god, yeah. I remember what the like main thing that I had in my head to talk about this week. The fucking pointless, impotent anger over Mr. Potato Head or whatever, and the fucking Dr. Seuss, quote unquote, canceling. Like, I don't scroll through Facebook very often. There's a reason why I stopped scrolling through Facebook. And the reason I stopped scrolling through Facebook so often is because every time I do, and this has been this way for years, since I fucking got Facebook, every time I do, I get bombarded. I can't go 2 scrolls without seeing some of the dumbest, fucking blatant, brain-dead stupidity that I've ever seen in my life on there. Like, I just can't. Somebody called Facebook like the instant depression app. What it really is it's like the bullshit app. Like, it's just you just scroll through it and you're going to see somebody's dumb, half-baked, stupid opinion just expressed blatantly for you to see, for all to see. And what I've realized is basically, like, what that means is it's like a bunch of people wearing a sign on their fucking selves that says, like, leave me alone, I'm dumb. And then that just gives me the ability to be like, all right, I won't even fucking interact with you anymore because you're dumb. Like, it's basically, it's like a badge on yourself telling everybody that you're stupid. That's what these posts are. And I think it was Friday. I could not scroll through Facebook twice without seeing some dumb post. And I still see them. I saw one earlier today about fucking, we had Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, right? It's like, okay, your point? Like, the only reason why people give a shit about any of this bullshit is literally simply the fact that they've been told to care about it. Like, all of the disgusting fucking media, all of the fear-mongering, distraction-mongering media who creates these bullshit controversies out of nothing, that like, these issues that are non-issues, that do not have substantial material weight behind them, affecting real people's lives, and that don't fucking matter in the grand scheme of the world. They literally don't matter. That they will turn into distraction pieces, literally to distract you. When people talk about media manipulation, we're not talking about some conspiracy about the Jews owning the media corporations or some bullshit like that. We're talking about the way that they manipulate your mind and create your ideology. That's what we're talking about. And I'm not even talking about fucking bias or whatever. Bias is a stupid, pointless term. Everything is inherently biased. There's no such thing as non-biased. And anything trying to pose itself as non-biased is literally just like someone who's trying to impose their ideology upon you. There's no such thing. There's not even such thing as a material fact that isn't cloaked in ideology. There's not. Like, this goes that deep for me. And so it's just frustrating to be scrolling through Facebook and you can't make it 3 posts without seeing some dumb take, some stupid manufactured outrage about, oh, they're canceling the toys. Oh, they're canceling the books. Because here's the thing, especially about the Dr. Seuss thing, I haven't even heard of any of the 6 books they're taking out of print. Nobody is canceling shit. They're taking books out of print. That's not the same thing as cancel culture. They're literally just not selling books anymore because it's no longer profitable in our culture to sell racism. Because there was literally like racist caricatures of black and Asian people in the books. So, because of the fact that that has changed, obviously, corporations who only are capable of the motivation of profit, by the way, are going to stop printing their racist shit. Because obviously, that's going to hurt their profits in our age of like pink capitalism. That's really what it is. That's a real analysis of what's going on. None of these people on Facebook have that. They don't have that. They can't do that. They can't think 2 steps ahead like that. They don't have it. They don't have the acumen, and they don't care about it in that way. It's what it is it's literally reaction. And by that I mean like in the reactionary sense. Not like reacting to things, but like your response to the thing that you're looking at is to cling to the culture that's changing. You cling to the thing that's changing. And you react in that reactionary way because you don't want your reality to change. And you don't want the times to change. It's a reaction to cultural progress. And it's pathetic. And all of that is literally why you can tell that conservatives and the right are the true snowflakes. You can tell. That's literally that concept exemplified in the fact that they're outraged over fucking toys and kids' books. All simply because in their precious little fucking free market society, quote unquote, it's no longer profitable to be racist. Wow. What a big fucking meaningful change to everything. Oh, the whole world's turned upside down. It's because these people don't think. That's the other part of it. It's because this same system that's manipulating their emotions, capitalizing on their emotions, and creating their manufactured outrage over bullshit that doesn't matter is the thing that has kept them this stupid to the point where this is what they care about. That's why. And that's how you connect it back to the institution as well. It's not some inherent flaw in them. It's not like, oh, these people are just inherently dumb. It's they've been kept dumb by the same system that is giving them this position to take. This quote-unquote position to take. And honestly, the thing that comforts me about all of that bullshit is literally the truth that none of this online Facebook quote-unquote politics is real politics. It literally isn't. It doesn't have any real effect. There's no... that's not a political power base. A bunch of angry boomers on Facebook. That's not a political power base. You know what I mean? Like they're not actually going to have an effect, which is a good thing. They just get their... It's just like masturbatory. It's just like getting off. They just get off on the outrage of their posts and then the day ends. Like... and the material arrangement of society stays the same. Like... that just goes to show you that, like, even the things that seem negative, they have a positive side. Like, just because if I tweet, fuck capitalism, and that doesn't end capitalism, that is bad. But what is good is the fact that the people who want, like, basically like a fascist society completely, can't get that out of their stupid conservative whinging posts. That's good. You know? But yeah, it's just maddening. It's just maddening, and it's frustrating that it's like I've talked before on this channel like a long time ago about the concept of like we literally only have the people that we have in reality. You know what I mean? So it's frustrating that these are the people we have, you know? Like it's just such a massive disappointment that this is it. Although the people here, like the people at my school, are not that stupid. I tend to think. I tend to meet people who are not that dumb. Not as dumb as the fucking Facebook outrage boomer mobs from my hometown. Although some of them honestly are. There's a lot of stupidity. It's kind of ubiquitous. But again, this is because of the broader structure. You know what I mean? I'm getting a little tired of people with their like individualistic analytical models for figuring everything out when it's like no, these things can be understood through societal analysis. You know what I mean? There's not much of a grasp of that. There's not much of an understanding of that anymore. Or maybe there never was, I don't know. For some reason it's not popular to do. To like really authentically societally analyze. It's not popular to do. Which is probably somewhat to do with the fact that people don't know how to think on that level. And they don't see how it's useful to think on that level. Because there's also a broader ideological sort of sheen over everything of like individualism. Where it's like people will just give up on their life problems and retreat into themselves and just be like individualistic like that. Like, oh, I just have to do what's best for me. And like, oh, I just have to like, you know, like all that stuff. That's like the mindset that's popular here is like resignation and just turning inward on yourself, which is like what bothers me about that is it would be better if people had that introspection, which also includes analysis of society and analysis of people beyond themselves, like mine does, like how I think about myself. I don't see myself in this individualist way. I really don't. Like, I reject the sort of like simplistic individualist collectivist dichotomy. But if somebody were to ask me, like, are you an individualist? I would be like, fuck no. But still, like, if somebody asked me, like, if are you a collectivist? I would also be like, fuck no. Because it's like, nah. That's just not, that's just not where the meat is. Like, that's just, and it's an overly simplistic model as well. Like, a lot of those binaries are like, super easily exposable as like a false binary. There's a lot of false binaries in this world. It's kind of frustrating. Like I just see a lot of falseness in the world. A lot of appearance and like surface level bullshit as opposed to like deep ideological like and like structural systemic understandings of things. But now like at this point in this episode I almost feel like I'm sort of like tooting my own horn or something. I don't want it to be like that. I want this to be like you as listeners are also like getting something out of this that isn't just like, oh, look at Maddie, she's so pretty. Like you can do that in any of my videos besides the Death of a Salesman one, because that's just my voice. But I just realized I'm wearing the dress that I was wearing in the first episode again. And that's the first time that my like appearance has repeated. But I'm wearing different lip gloss, I think. I think that's a different red. I kinda didn't get enough right there, but I don't know. That lip gloss is like harder than regular lipstick to apply. But yeah. Stupid fake outrage we covered. Jordan Peterson we touched on. We talked about the Zoomer Nation debate. There was like another there's another thing. There's a third thing along with like cuz I knew I was going to talk about I knew I intended to open with like a reflection on the Zoomer Nation discussion. And then it was like Jordan Peterson, Potato Heads. What else though? Jesus Christ, can you shut the fuck up, please? Thanks. God. What else was there? I apologize. This used to happen on the old podcast that I talked about before. This used to happen all the time. It used to be like, oh, I don't know what to say, and there's like awkward gaps. Like even with other people that would happen. Like there would just be awkward gaps between everything. Like, and like there would be this one guest that we just had like literally like 12 times on the show. There were only like 40 episodes. This one kid came on 12 times. It's kind of insane to me. It's kind of insanity because it's like Jesus. I just wanted, only simply because I just wanted more variety. I like variety. I wanted more of that. And because there were people back then that I wanted to get on who never came on. And it seems like that's somewhat true even again in this new iteration of the show. Like it seems like that one person who got like really big on Twitter and then sort of like I don't even think she's on Twitter anymore. Like I don't even think she uses it. I think she like quit. I don't know. I don't know. But it doesn't seem like she's ever going to get on here. Even though she offered me to get on. Like, she's like, I want to come on your show. I'm like, okay, we can do it this week. And then she's like, oh, I can't do it this week. And then I was like, oh, I can't do it either because I feel like shit. And then she was like, oh, I can't. And then the next time she's like, oh, I can't. So, yeah. Might never happen. But I'm glad we got Zoomer on here. And, I think at some point I'm going to get Isocratic on here. And I'm also having a literal like Sartre scholar in the making come on in the summertime, who's also I met on Twitter, which is cool because I like Sartre. I like Sartre better than Camus. I'm just not like I actually used to be very like philosophically self-identifying as like an existentialist, but now it's more like Deleuzian, post-structuralist, and even like Marxist, you know? But yeah. So I do have some future episodes sort of like in the works, in my mind, in production, we'll say. for all of you. So yeah, I don't really have anything else to go into this week. It's kind of a short one. So yeah, I think I did forget one thing that I was going to cover, but that's fine. And then maybe next week we will have Road Cone back on the show, but maybe not. I might wait and save that for another time. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. But yeah, I hope you fucking enjoyed this installment of Maz Morning Podcast. And despite the fact that it's coming out sort of in the nighttime. And infrared is rising.